Ladies and gentlemen, today is August 15th, 2013, and this is the KNKL Daily, number 83. I'm your host, Kienan Lafferty, and today is Thoughtful Thursday, where we sit underneath the bonsai tree and we meditate upon life and what it is to be an artist, and you partake in the meditation as well. Today we're going to be talking about taking action, taking the first step, or making your move, right? Making your move. And some interesting things that I have discovered for myself, within myself and outside of myself, about life. And maybe I can pass those things down to you, on down to you. And we're going to learn how to talk at the same time today. But before we get into that, I need to make an announcement. As you can see, we have these new awesome little icons. We got a little Kel zombie over here and Emma over here. Isn't that cute? And we are unmuted, so that is very good. Let's go ahead and move on to the announcement, shall we? The announcement, I said it yesterday, but I'm actually going to be going to the Salt Lake Comic-Con. Yes, and I'm going to be at Artist Alley. I'm being featured in Artist Alley, well, which means I actually bought a booth and they let me go. So I'm going to be featured in Artist Alley, and I'm going to be there signing cards, giving away posters, and trying to help promote Emma in general and telling the world about the comic and tell them to go read it online. So if any of you live in the Salt Lake area or live in Utah and we're thinking about going to this, definitely go so we can meet, we can shake hands, and snuggle if we really want to, if we really deem that appropriate, which it always is. And yeah, I hope to see you there. Now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and, oh, I just like this. I feel like I'm not alone anymore. I'm not alone in my room. Like I have friends now. I have all the pictures back here, and then I got things on the foreground too. Nice depth, right? And then my lovely bed, which I have invited you to before. Secretly. But regardless, today we're talking about making your move, right? And one of the biggest things that I want to talk about today is making your move before you're ready. And this is something that I've always kind of had subconsciously, but I've never actually, it was finally like nailed in. It was finally just like hammered into my thick skull, right? And just like absorbed into my brain juices. Like the idea of, you know, like whatever you want to do, you can actually start taking steps toward that immediately, right? Like within the daytime, right? Say you want to start a business, right? Or say you want to make money. The steps that you could take to start your business or start making money like on that day are actually quite possible, right? And I think a big trap that a lot of people fall into is they get the idea, oh yeah, I want to make this business, or oh yeah, I want to make this comic, and it's going to have, in my case, right, this is me talking, and it's going to have like this theme song, and it's going to have voice actors, I'm going to put together all these issues, and then when all my ducks are in a row, when I have 3 issues done, and everything's just like looking good, I get a little animated intro going, then I'll make a Kickstarter to print the issues and make the company, right? And it's like, it's not exact, like even the goal, the end goal is not clear for me. And that's mistake number 1. But mistake number 2 that we're talking about today specifically is making your move before you're ready, right? Don't wait for everything to just be perfect, right? Don't be like, oh, well, I'll just do this thing when I get my tablet, right? Some people want to get started. One of my friends wants to get started with digital art. And I've been telling him that he's been doing this, but he's like, oh, I'll get started. I'm so excited to get started, but I'm just waiting until I get my tablet. I'm like, when I get the tablet and then I get Photoshop and like a new computer and everything, then I'll go for it, right? And while I understand like that's perfectly fine to like anticipate, build up your energy and get excited about it, it's like, no, really what you should be doing is seizing the moment, seizing the day. Make the move before you're ready. You should be drawing every single chance you get. If all you got is a pencil and a piece of printer paper, right? You're drawing on that. You're not waiting for your tablet to come. You're not waiting for the computer. You're not waiting for the planets to align and project their knowledge onto you. It's like nothing's going to happen until you make your move, right? And so I was talking with my good friend Taylor yesterday, right? Taylor's one of my new friends that I met down here in Utah. And we have an interesting history going back. I'll have to tell you about it sometime. But regardless, I was over at his house one day, and we were just like playing guitar together because he's great at guitar, and we were just kind of messing around, having fun, and talking. And it was just amazed me how resourceful Taylor is, because he decided one summer that he wanted to create a business, right? He wanted to create a business, and he wanted to make money. And he found out that it was actually very, very simple. There were just a few things that he had to get in line, right? So he came up with the idea that he wanted to make a business, that he wanted to wash cars, right? But the way that he did it was interesting. I want to tell you about this. He decided that he was going to make a business washing cars, and what he would do is he would approach people. He would go to these big office buildings, right, where there's just tons of cars out in the street, and he approached the secretary, and he said, "Hi, I'm with the detail doctor," right? This is the company that he made up for himself. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm just here to wash cars. Is anybody that can wash cars?" He made up this company so he could, like, you see that? It's the way that he pitched it, right? And he's working with literally, like, he went out and spent $150 on the cleaning products that he would use to clean these cars. And he just put together this name, this company name, to go in and clean cars. And then he went up to the secretary, talked to the right person, right? And he's like, "Hey, I'm with the detail doctor. I'm here to clean people's cars. Is there anybody who wants to have their car cleaned while they're working today?" And then the secretary was like, "Oh yeah, let me just find out." And then she sent a mass email to the entire company. And sure enough, he gets all these cars back that need to get, cleaned, right? So then he would go out, and then here's the freaking genius part. He would go out and he'd be cleaning these cars, but he also made like a little sign, right? So as he was cleaning, there would be a little sign by the car that he was working at. And so people walking by would be like, "Oh, hey, you're with the detail doctor, or you're cleaning cars today? Yeah, could you take care of mine too?" And he just, like, it's just so genius, as opposed to just going up, asking if you can clean somebody's car and going out and doing it. It's like he thinks of all of these things to, like, help promote and just, like, build and spread his name, and he just takes initiative, right? Like, he almost, like, made his move with what he had, right? He just figured out what he had, and he just made his move that day. And he's making great money, like, throughout the days and just throughout the summer. And it was then that he realized, making money and starting a business is actually very easy. Of course, he wants to eventually move into something that, he doesn't have to be present and doing all the physical labor to make the money. Eventually, he wants to make products and all that stuff. That's the ideal thing to do. That's when you really start getting into something big, when you can create something like a product. So anyway, after he tells me this whole story, I was like, man, that's really cool. Just like how you did that, and the way that you worded things, and the way that you focused on just the way that you presented yourself, and you did it resourcefully, and you did it very, very efficiently. So it got me thinking, right? Because here I am, I'm creating this comic series, right? And I told him that I wanted to go to this year's Comic-Con in Salt Lake, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about just going. I'll just kind of, like, pass out, I got, like, business cards. I'll get some business cards made. I'll pass them out and be like, "Hey, yeah, there's a new comic. Why don't you go check it out?" And just pass out flyers and stuff. And I was like, what I really want to do is I want to get a booth, right? I really just want to get a booth. That way people, like, it's going to be so much more prominent, right? I'm sitting at this 6-foot table, and, people are just walking by, and they just naturally jump from booth to booth. And I'm going to have, like, a big old, like, banner behind me. It says, like, "Kienan Lafferty, comic artist." Right? So there's so much more attention to be grabbed when you have a booth. And I was like, I really want to do that. But naturally, I was waiting for everything to be perfect, right? I was waiting to be ready. I was like, oh yeah, well, I want to make sure I get at least, like, 3 issues done. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. Like, I don't have anything to sell, right? I don't have t-shirts, I don't have buttons, I don't have stickers. I got the posters, right? The limited edition posters to sell. But that's about it. Other than that, I'm just going to be kind of spreading my name. And he's like, well, so what? That's good enough, right? That's what you're trying to do right now, right? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know. It's like, it's Comic-Con, right? It's the granted, it's Salt Lake Comic-Con. It's like the first annual that they're bringing it here, which is freaking awesome. I was like, but the booths are probably expensive, right? And he's like, well, have you done any research into it? Like, find out how much they are exactly? And I was like, no, but it's probably, they're all taken anyway. There's no way I'm going to be able to get it, right? Have you called the person, the producer who's doing it, and asked him if there's any booths available? And I was like, no. And immediately I was like, shoot, man. I was like, well, I know that at Kamikaze, when I went there, I talked to them about the booths, and they said that they were about $200. Right? And I was like, so if it's around that price range, I'll do it, for sure. So sure enough, Taylor motivated me the next day to get on the phone, just call somebody and look at the applications, just figure out what I was going to need to do to get a booth at the Comic-Con. And the first thing that I checked out was just, like, the 10 by 10s, like the 10-foot by 10-foot giant, like, things that they would normally sell merchandise at, right? And those were $600. And I was like, shoot, well, I can't afford to just spend $600 right now. All I'm going to be doing is just, like, spreading the word about the comic. If it was 200 bucks, I would do it, right? So I was about ready to call it quits right there. But then I realized that, hey, well, there's the Artist Alley. Artist Alley, I wonder what that is. And previously to this, I thought the Artist Alley was something you had to be invited to, right? Maybe it's different because it's Salt Lake and they just need people to like fill Artist Alley. But they were selling Artist Alley booths too. So I looked at that and I was like, whoa, look at that, 200 bucks. And it's a 6-foot table and it's a 6-foot banner behind me, right? And I was like, that's all I really need. I don't need 10 feet of space. I couldn't even use it. So I saw that and I was like, 200 bucks. And I was like, shoot, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna do this. So I called the producer and I just asked him a couple questions about it, just making sure that, hey, is it okay if I get this banner printed up? I'll have it behind me. 6 feet is okay. I don't want to be like going into someone else's booth and like, pissing people off. And, just like, are we allowed to sell stuff? And just like, what are we allowed to do? And just, just like simple questions, right? Because I'm a noob. I've never done this before, but I'm super excited about it. And it just sounded like everything checked out. And it sounded like he was just waiting for people to call, right, to fill these booths. So, yeah, I mean, I just found it interesting how, first of all, I was doing that thing where I was waiting for everything to be perfect before I made my move. And second of all, I made excuses. I made excuses and I quit before I even got started. You see what I'm talking about there? I didn't even look into the information as to how much a booth was going to cost, what the availability was. Just like any of these questions. I didn't even bother going into it, and I just cut myself off before I even started. And it's so funny how, this is just something that happens all the time. People constantly do this. People constantly make excuses and just don't even try because of some sort of scenario that they make up in their head. When in actuality, the opportunity could be just sitting there waiting for them. Does that make sense? And it's not just having to do with a Comic-Con booth. It could be about some job opportunity. And in fact, most of the time, it is a job opportunity. The biggest thing that I noticed while I was working at Riot was I got in there as a 2D production artist, right? And I thought, whew, man, I just barely snaked by. But you know what I realized? For the year and a half that I was working there, we were constantly looking for artists. We never stopped looking for artists. So even if you go to the site of whatever you want to work for, Blizzard or Naughty Dog or some mobile games company, even if they don't say they're looking for artists, you should apply anyway, right? Because who knows, like the person maybe just they don't update their website, It's just like people are constantly looking for people to make them money, right? So if you're good, they're going to take you regardless of whether they have the opening or not. So I hope that you guys really understand that and really stop making excuses for yourselves and just really continue pushing towards your dreams. And realize that even if you don't have all the resources, right? You want to be a digital artist, but you don't have the tablet. Maybe you don't have Photoshop. You can procure it in all kinds of different ways, right? Especially students. They're good at getting that student discount. But there's all kinds of ways that you can do it. You can just get started. It's not about the Photoshop. It's not about the digital art. It's about drawing. It's about just doing what you want, right? Taking the resources that you have and making it happen, right? So I got a booth. I'm going to go with nothing but some posters and some business cards. And my goal is to just spread the word, talk to people, draw some pictures, draw cards, hand them out, all that good stuff. Hang on, I'm looking over here and making sure I'm not missing anything. Matt Gamer is talking about people are like, what if we're lazy? That's just laziness comes from excuses, right? That's what I was doing. I allowed myself to be lazy because I made up these excuses that were actually not even there. They were it was the exact opposite of what was actually happening. I thought all the booths were gone. There's so many booths available. I thought that it was going to cost too much. It costed exactly what I thought it was going to, right? In my budget, right? 200 bucks. 200 bucks to get a booth where thousands of people are going to be passing by and talking to me, handing out cards and telling them about my comic. Like, that is a steal as far as I'm concerned. Like, just getting the word out there, letting people know who I am and what I'm doing, it's going to be invaluable. And I'm really, really excited because I've always wanted to be, at a convention. I love going to conventions, but I've always wanted to be one of those exhibitioners, just be there and just talk about my thing and hopefully answer questions and just talk to people, meet some new people, maybe make some new contacts. Who knows? There's going to be tons of people from the industry already there, like giving speeches and stuff. Who knows? I might meet somebody really, really cool who can help me with Emma. But regardless of whether I do or not, the main priority is just going, getting exposure. And that's what's going to happen. I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, and another big thing that that I kind of want to touch on is people talk a lot about, in order to be successful or in order to create something, you need to work really, really hard, right? If you're not working hard, then you're not going to make it, right? And this tends to scare some people away, right? Then the other side of the coin is people say, oh man, if you're working doing what you love, you never work a day in your life, right? So when you think you're doing something that you're supposed to like and you're like, oh, this is hard, you feel like, oh, well, it's not all peachy and it's not all heavenly like they said it was going to be. So I don't like either one of those. I really don't like either one of those. The idea that you have to work extremely hard to get what you want, I don't believe in that completely. But then I also don't believe that if you're doing what you love, it's never work. I kind of sit in this middle range, and I call it just being organized. Being organized and sticking to a schedule. And what works for me with that is like last Thursday, I talked about the 26-34 rule. And this is one of the biggest things that continues to help me every single day. Working for 26 minutes, then taking a break for 34. I'm working less than I'm resting. But what's interesting is I'm getting way more done. I'm never burnt out, and I'm constantly just on this high of creative energy. It's just flowing out. So, yeah, I really think that success and just doing what you want to in life has to do with just being organized. You're not working way too hard. You're not working crazily and all scatterbrained over here. And you're not, it just doesn't, like, in order for it to be good, you have to work, right? So it's not like, oh, you're never working, you know? But I think the biggest thing is that you just appreciate the work. That's really what it comes down to, is the work that you do on your own projects is hard, right? It's hard, but if you're organized, you just do it, right? You do it, you get it done, and then that work just means so much more to you. Even though I'm not getting paid nearly anything to do this compared to what I was doing at Riot, the payoff is just like, it's so much more, you know? It just like enriches the soul of what I'm supposed to be doing. It enriches who I am, and I feel really, really good about that. Just following your heart, because I really believe that's what life is all about. Because if I just play it safe and I'll be like, oh yeah, I got the job that I always worked for, and now I can just relax. I got security and all this stuff, and I just relax. And then I get to the end of my life and I'm like, man, but I never took that risk and tried to tell my story. I never took that risk and tried to make that comic. Even though it's something silly, it's like making a comic book, right? It's like, who cares about that, right? It doesn't matter that anybody really cares. All that matters is that you care about it, not you as in your project. You care about your project, I care about my project. And if you care about my project, that's even better. But yeah, like I said, I made Emma because I did it. The main reason I'm making Emma is because I want to do it. Because I believe I'm supposed to do it. And I'm going to see it through. Like, I'm going to die before I quit making Emma. Does that make sense? I will not quit making Emma until it is done. Until it is done, I will not stop, regardless of whether it makes any money or not. It's just, that's the way it has to be, because I can't quit, right? I can't quit and get to the end of my life and be like, well, I tried, but it didn't make any money, so, you know, it wasn't feasible. It didn't make any sense, right? And another thing is, I'm lucky to be able to say that because I have, but, okay, another story to this too. Is, I mean, I say that I'm lucky because I'm single, right, and I don't have a wife or kids to take care of, but even if I did, I would still find a way to make it work, right? I would take care of my needs as a man and take care of my family. I wouldn't be like, well, screw you guys, I'm going to make this comic, right? There's things that obviously you have to take care of, but the point is that I wouldn't stop. And that's a really good note that I've actually made in my journal. And it's, and for those of you who haven't got a journal, go get them, is, first thing that really kind of lessened the weight off my shoulders is great things are created slowly, right? The greatest things are always going to take time, right? You just have to allow that for yourself. Whether it's going to take a few months to make something or whether it takes years, okay? The important thing is that it just gets done, okay? And don't stop, right? I think stopping for me is like saying, okay, I'm going to stop this for like a few months and try to, you know, it's like slow down, right? Slow down even if you're just doing one panel a day. But don't ever stop. If it's your dream, don't ever let a day go by where you don't do just one little thing to just inch your way closer. Right? And that's what I'd do if I had more obligations as a family man. And that's what you should think about if you're a family man, right? Don't think, oh, well, I'm not like you, so I can't do it, right? You can still do it. You might just have to do it a little bit slower. And that's okay. That's totally okay, because great things are created slowly. And yeah, I really like to think about that a lot. And it's just good to kind of just understand that, you know, if it's good enough, like, you know how fast your dream should come to pass, right? You know how fast was reasonable for you to see it, right? That's what matters most. As long as you just kind of stay in tune with that sixth sense of like, what's supposed to be going on right now? Where am I supposed to be? Am I there? No? Okay, I need to continue. I need to make my way up to that point. Or if you're doing just fine and dandy, you're going to know it. You're going to feel really good about yourself. So, all right. And yeah, let's see, how long have I been blabbing for? I'm going for about 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and open question catapults. Any questions that you guys have, please ask. I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit longer, for probably about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will end day 83 of the KNKL Daily. But you guys have been a great audience today. Thank you so much for joining me and participating as usual. Really means a lot. Let's see. Oh, Matt Gamer is requesting, or he's recommending a book here. You Manage Your Day to Day. Build your routine, find your focus, and sharpen your creative mind by Jocelyn Glei. That sounds pretty cool. I've never actually heard of that book. I'm going to have to check that out myself. But in terms of staying motivated and just getting on top of your life and following your dream, I highly recommend looking up motivational speeches on YouTube. And you can listen to books on tape on YouTube. Like, you don't have to go out and buy anything anymore. It's like pretty much any book on tape is on YouTube. You know, someone's just like slapped it on there for you to listen to for your enjoying pleasure. And some things that I would recommend personally for books is The Alchemist, because The Alchemist is the book that I listened to that basically right before I worked at Riot, I read The Alchemist, right? And it totally changed the way I was looking at how everything was happening, because there was a lot of uncertainty before I got my job at Riot. I was really, really scared. I didn't know how I was going to make it financially. I didn't know how I was going to be able to feed myself at one point, right? And I thought that I was going to have to come back to Utah, you know, and live with my parents, and I dreaded it. But now that I'm actually back here, it's actually not that bad. But the point remains, I still believe in being my own man, and that's another goal that I'm working towards. So soon we will be moving out of the parents' house once again, and we will be getting our own studio. That is one of the next goals for me, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it because we want to do it, and because we must do it. So check out The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho. You type in The Alchemist, it'll pull it up. Another thing that I always talk about is Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. That's a really, really good one. Nice line. That one's on YouTube. You just type that in. You can listen to it all day and spit all over your keyboard. That's awesome. Wow, that's great. Let's see. What other books have I been listening to? Great speakers to listen to are Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Anthony Robbins. He's kind of more like a, you can do it kind of guy. But I still like him. And who else? Who else? I've really, really been a big fan of Jim Rohn and Les Brown. Those guys are probably my favorites to listen to. I'll tell you what, you listen to those guys, you will get just amped about your life. You'll get amped about your life, and they will say things that will change the way that you look at the way that you work, at the way that you just live your life, and what your purpose is, right? They help you to just find that purpose, and it's most of the time something very, very simple, right? Most people go through lives and be like, oh, well, what's my purpose, right? Oh, I guess it's just to survive day to day, you know, pay these bills and take care of my kids and, you know, live the married life and all that stuff. You know, and that's okay, right? But there's more to that. There's something greater. There's a greater purpose out there for you. And I think that everybody deserves to find it, right? Everybody deserves to find it, and everybody deserves to bring what they need to the world. Everybody has something unique to bring. And everybody has a story to tell, right? Whether that's figurative or literal, whatever you want to take from that. But here's the thing. No one is going to tell your story for you, okay? Let me repeat that. No one is going to tell your story for you. And if you don't tell it, it is going to die with you. It is going to die with you, and it's going to be buried in the grave with you, and you will never tell your story. How sad is that? Millions of people every day, well, maybe not millions, millions of people maybe every year or so are dying, right? And their stories die with them. Their inventions, their unique things that they could have brought to the world, but they never did because they didn't want to take the risk. They didn't decide to make their move before they were ready, right? Make your move before you're ready. And then when you are ready, make your move again, right? Because the worst thing that happens, and there's the other thing, the worst thing that's going to happen if I make my move before I'm ready is it's going to suck, right? And then what's the big deal? I'm just going to have that experience for the next time when I would have done it, when I would have made my move and I'm ready. I'm going to make my move again, and then I'll have even more experience. Does that make sense? So you just got to get your ego out of the way. You got to get all these feelings and scared thoughts out of your way. And just do it. Allow it to suck if it does, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it turns out a lot better than you thought it was going to. But and then make your move again when you're ready. All righty then. All right, questions. I have a lot of energy right now. I just came from helping somebody move, so I was like moving like this giant like flat screen TV. Like we had to take it into two parts. It's like one of those old ones where the 3 light bulbs like project the thing up onto the mirror, and then it refracts onto the thing, and then it goes through the filter, and then you see the TV, right? One of those old giant boxes. We had to move that thing. That was tons of fun. But we broke it down into 2 pieces. It helped. But it was still quite heavy among other things. All right, questions coming in from XBLGR. How did you get your artist job, and did you search for them, then apply? Because I don't know how to start. XBLGR. Yes, I actually did. The way that I got my job at Riot was I was playing League of Legends constantly, right? And I loved the art style. I saw there was an opening at Riot for concept artists or 2D artists. So I was like, hey, I'll go ahead and send this thing down, right? I made my little video reel thing and sent it to him with the cover letter. And then what's very, very interesting is I actually ran into somebody that used to work there, right? An ex-Rioter. He was playing the game, and I was midding against him. I was Kog'Maw, and he was Fiddlesticks, right? Don't ask me how that happened. I think we were in, like, Bronze League, so pretty much anything goes, right? So I was midding against him, and his team, my team triumphed over his, right? But he was really, really good, right? Or, you know, going against me, he was really good. So at the end of the game, people were just all making fun of him and stuff and saying that he lost the game for them. And I was like, no, actually, he was, like, the best one on your team, so you guys need to shut up. Right? And so he thought that was really nice, and he started talking to me afterwards. Come to find out, he used to work at Riot, and I was like, hey, think you can put in a good word for me? I just applied as an artist, right? And I sent him the link to my YouTube thing. And he's like, interesting, interesting. So I think that definitely helped out quite a bit, you know, just meeting somebody randomly. But that can happen in a game, that can happen at a convention, that can happen anywhere, you know? Santa Monica, you're walking around on the street, you're bound to run into a Riot employee. So yeah, I think the best thing to do is just start calling people, right? You want to work at Blizzard? Start calling people. Just bug them, right? Bug them. I don't care if the thing is listed on the site that they're hiring artists, like bug them, right? And eventually they're either going to tell you no, and then you know, hey, I need to continue my craft. I'll apply at these other places in the other time. In the meantime, local studios are a great way. That's how I got my start, right? I didn't go to college, but I started working immediately in a local studio illustrating books. And that was kind of how I started building my portfolio and building my experience. You see what I'm talking about? Working with the resources that you have. You don't necessarily have to go down the beaten path of like, oh, if you want an artist, you need to get an education, right? You need to go to this college and get this degree. That's one way to do it, right? But there's infinite paths. That's what a lot of people don't get. There's infinite paths to get to where you want to go. Right? So I think it's very important. That's what it's all about. Make your move before you think you're ready. And then you're just going to figure it out, right? All right. I have a lot of energy today. I feel really good. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I applied when I saw the position was available. But now I know that I don't even have to wait for that. If I want to work at a company, I will apply. I will apply and say, I'm ready to work for you. Simon Bowden bought The Alchemist! That's great. So happy to hear that. Oh, says he was tearing up as he was reading it. You and I are so alike, Simon. You have no idea. That book makes me cry every time. Every time that book makes me cry, I'm just like, this is me. Like, this is what life is about. You guys need to read The Alchemist. It will literally change your life. Every time I read that, it changes my life. Alrighty then. Nizo is saying, this might be a little personal, but because you typed it in the chat, it's free reign for me. Saying my current situation is that I'm currently at college. My dad is pushing hard for me to get a job and move out, but I'm not ready yet. Well, Nizo, I would say I think the best thing to do is ask yourself, do you want to move out? Do you really want to move out? Do you want to have your own place? Do you want to be a man? You want to be your own man and have your own place? I think maybe you might be relying too much on the motivation of, oh, my dad wants me to do this, and you're letting that motivate you. But instead, focus on the positive factors of what it's going to do for you and why you want to do this, right? Because I guarantee you, as long as you let that negative reinforcement continuously push you, you're always going to resist it, right? It's kind of like when people tell you, like, if you want to do something and then someone tells you to go do that, you immediately don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So try to do your best to understand that, yes, this is your dad. He's trying to push you out and be like, yes, this is what a man does, right? Every father does that. And take that for what it's worth. Take it with a grain of salt. But then focus on what it's going to do for you. And find that motivation from within, right? And I guarantee you, when you do that, when you figure that out, what you want for yourself, and you let that motivate you, it's going to be a lot easier. And just let it come as it comes, right? Let it happen as it's supposed to, because I guarantee you, enough time passes, you are going to get your own place. That's just the way that life goes. It just kind of falls into place. So instead of worrying so much about it, just do what you can. Put your focus and energy into what you can do instead of worrying about what's going to happen in the future or the past. Just make your plans, stick to it, and focus. And I guarantee you, you're going to be a very happy man. Alrighty, peoples. We're going to end. It's time for some epic outro music. There's like some meeting going on downstairs for essential oils. doTERRA. I don't know if you guys know what that is. If you live in Utah, you definitely know what doTERRA is. But we are going to go ahead and end day 83 of the KNKL Daily. Thank you once again for joining me live on your stream. Lovely people in the chat. I love you oh so much. I will see you on Monday. One more thing. You might be getting a special surprise over the weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday maybe. Yeah, it's something I've been working on for quite a while, related to Emma. And yeah, that's about all I can give away. But yeah, just stay tuned this weekend. I'll probably be releasing something cool for you guys. Until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you on Monday.